If there is one example of what an entrepreneur can achieve, it is this man right here. Meet Robert Thompson. Robert was born in Janesville, Michigan, and as a boy worked as a farmhand. In his early 20s, Robert married a young school teacher, they bought a house and had children. One day he speaks to his wife and lets her know he wants to start an asphalt company. So with nothing more than $3,500, a chip spreader, and some contacts at a local asphalt distributor, he starts it in his basement. This is the beginning of the Thompson McCulley Asphalt Company. And through many years of hard work, he goes on to grow this to the largest asphalt company in the state of Michigan. When asked about his success, Robert, being as humble as he usually is, says, "We've made a lot of mistakes along the way, but the thing is that we have always learned from those mistakes." Understanding his market through and through, Robert never shied away from an opportunity when it presented itself. When owners of competing businesses were looking to retire, it was not unusual for Robert to try and buy their companies from them. This allowed Robert to continue growing throughout the state, but it didn't come without risk. This was proven by the quarter he always walked around with in his pocket. The story goes, he was trying to buy a company and the owner and him were $1 million apart, so he decided to come up with a plan. He'll flip a quarter for it, and he ended up losing. As a result, he paid the man his extra $1 million, and he kept the quarter in his pocket as a reminder. By the time 1999 rolled around, Robert had grown Thompson into a juggernaut of an asphalt company, employing more than 550 people. But now he was looking to retire, and to do so, he wanted to make sure that whoever bought the company was a right fit and wouldn't lay anybody off. You see, Robert cared for everybody that worked for him, and he understood that he didn't build this alone. Everybody had a role to play. In fact, it's been said that he even had some of them in his will. So after doing a lot of research, Robert landed on an Irish construction company to sell to. They ended up striking a deal for $444 million. But this is where the story starts getting interesting. You see, Robert here, he had a plan. He wanted to be able to give a certain amount to everybody that helped him along the way. So in July of 1999, he sent out an email company-wide. That email told everybody that he sold the company, that nobody was going to be laid off, but also that as a parting gift, he was going to be giving everybody a significant bonus. At a minimum, people were going to get at least $2,000 for every year of tenure at the company. Often that check was more than they were making annually. For other employees who had been with him for a long period of time, who he got to know very well and considered to be part of his family, they got a life-changing amount of money. In total, on that day, he created over 80 millionaires in his company. He even made sure that he put enough aside where he would pay the income tax on the extra money that everybody received. He was quoted as being very grateful for everybody that helped him achieve what he could. In fact, he acknowledged that there were employees that were working 14-hour days, 6 days a week, in 99-degree heat, laying 300-degree asphalt. And that for him to not share in the wealth wouldn't be fair. So, regardless of whether you were helping with the admin in the office or you were turning stop signs on the road, you were getting a bonus that day that was of significant amount. Of course, the staff were ecstatic, but Robert was nowhere to be seen that day. In fact, he stayed home that day because, quote unquote, he figured it would be too emotional. In fact, he told all the supervisors that nobody should be coming to his house or calling him that day. If they wanted to express any kind of gratitude to him, that they were to write him a letter. By the end of the week, his mailbox was full of over 550 letters. One employee was quoted as saying, "I was always proud to work at this company, but now I'm holding my head up that much higher." Robert is a prime example of what can be. He achieved it. He worked hard and had the gratitude and the kindness where he changed the lives of thousands of people that day. This is the goal for me. This is what we should be striving to attain.